I messed up tonight. I lost another fight. I still mess up, but I'll just start again. I keep falling down. I keep on hitting the ground. I always get enough to see what's next. Birds don't just fly, they fall down and get up. Nobody learns without getting it wrong. I won't give up, no, I won't give in till I reach the end and then I'll start again. No, I won't leave, I wanna try everything, I wanna try even though I could fail.
Welcome back, everyone, to episode 6 of Zootopia Minute, the podcast where we review Zootopia 1 minute at a time. I am your host, going by Choco from this point on, and I'm joined by my co-host,
Simul, I am back again.
and we are both back. So if you guys don't know, because we are releasing these actually after we recorded them, but I've moved to Austin in the time between the last episode and this episode.
Yes, you moved from Disney World to Austin.
Exactly. And within that time, a lot has happened, and we actually finally got the new episodes up. So this is the first episode we're recording in my new location. And since I live 50 feet from a train track, you might occasionally hear a train rumbling by. When that happens, we will just say it's my train of thought.
At least it's not like, Manhattan where it's a subway and it's physically connected to your building, and so like your entire building shakes. Is it like that?
I don't know, and I guess we're going to find out.
Wasn't there a movie where there was like a dude who was building a house of cards or something, and it was that kind of deal with a train going by and it would like knock down the whole thing?
It sounds like something I would see in a Disney Goofy skit.
Probably.
All right. And speaking of Disney movies, we are watching minute 6 to minute 6:59 of Zootopia. So we begin wherein the polar bear coach says, "You're going to have to be tough." And we end when Judy, our bunny protagonist, is trying to climb over an ice wall.
Indeed. This is a fun little scene. I like all the different mini biome obstacles they have set up for the trainees.
I kind of like that they condensed what would normally be half a movie's worth of character development within one perfect minute. In fact, it's this minute 6 that we're covering is exactly her struggle and growth.
That's actually something I was going to touch on too, is that so far, the way that these minutes are divided up is like perfect segments where our minutes haven't really been stuck in the middle of important scenes. I mean, maybe sort of, but like this one specifically is probably one of the best examples we've had so far of where a full minute just lines up perfectly with what's going on. Gets a good beginning, middle, end, I think.
Yeah, and this minute I think hit me very personally. I think I touched on it in the last episode, but Judys Struggle at the police academy really reminded me of my my first 2 weeks at my military academy when I went to.
That's right.
For those who don't know, the first few weeks of, I guess, any boot camp or military academy training is sometimes called Hell Week. It was called Hell Week during my time, and I think I really feel for Judy because I kind of was just thrown in that situation. I was vastly overweight. I was not the best kid. I was running at a 14-minute mile, and I was expected to do all this physical training. But within 2 weeks, I brought that mile time down to 8, and by the end of the month, it was like a 5-minute mile.
Nice.
So I kind of did feel that situation where things were working against me. I couldn't get the push-ups done. I couldn't do the obstacle courses. And I basically had that moment that Judy had when she was just doing her sit-ups in bed, reading. I kind of had that exact moment where it's like, no, I'm not going to let this get to me. I'm going to actually succeed. I got the cadet handbook. I basically memorized it front and back. I would do exercises, learn all my military drills and maneuvers in my room in the dark of night, and prepared for my test. And I think I graduated at the top of the freshman class based on all the extra training, despite not coming in there physically fit or mentally ready.
So what really led to that decision for you to go to military school? Was that something that your parents wanted you to do? I think
it was definitely a parent thing. Well, okay, I guess I don't want to give too much about my personal life away because I that's why I'm using
Sure, of
aliases for
course.
this podcast. But I kind of come from a family where it's connected to like a royal family. And in traditional royal families, especially East Asian royal families, it's tradition to send the sons of kings off to other kingdoms to
Oh
train with
yeah.
the military units or to Shaolin temples to train. So, of course, my parents are American and I was born in America, so there's no equivalent of a neighboring kingdom or a Shaolin temple to go to. So, I guess the closest equivalent would be going off to military school. My father was also a Marine Corps officer, and he served with the United States Marine Corps in
Hmm.
Vietnam, flying helicopters. And he's just really one of those gung ho, patriotic, pro military type parents, and he really wanted me to follow in his footsteps. In fact, he wanted me to go to West Point, and this military school
Oh wow.
specifically is
It's
a
like a
big
feeder
feed.
school.
It's a
Yeah.
big feeder school to West Point. Like if you get to the top of your class here, you're basically guaranteed a spot in West Point. Which spoilers, I ended up getting a spot, but I didn't take it.
That would have been a very different route.
That would have. But and enough of myself. Going back to Judy, we could see that she has some struggles compared to a lot of the other species in this police academy training, especially since most of these are herbivores or predators who are really massive in size, really
Hmm.
strong, and she's really tiny. In fact, just thinking about the bathroom scene where she fell into a toilet,
Oh my gosh.
it's like, don't they even have? Because you would assume that in a world with animals of different sizes, you would have.
Accommodations
Yeah,
for all the different morphologies. Yeah, I think we were
yeah,
talking about this in one of the previous minutes too. It's the type of thing where I think maybe Disney realizes that, the writers realize that that would be the case, but they're just kind of ignoring that for the sake of making a visual gag. And that's
yeah, like
forgivable,
for
I
humor.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I can totally forgive that because that is a funny scene. I didn't notice this the first time I saw the movie because a lot of these scenes flash by pretty quick, but there's one where like a car door is slammed and her ear
Yes,
gets
I saw
caught
that
in it.
too. Oh, that must be painful.
Right? Imagine so. Um, yeah, I guess the main point of this scene was really just to establish her diligence. You know, our previous minute saw Gideon, the bully fox, tell her that she's never going to amount to anything other than just a dumb bunny.
Hmm.
She's never going to be a police officer. She's never going to achieve her dreams. But, you know, she takes that all in stride and she keeps going. And it shows that, yes, it is difficult. She doesn't just immediately succeed at all these things she tries. She's failing. This whole scene is just her failing, 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 failing. You know, and it's a good setup for
Yeah.
showing how hard work will
Until like
eventually.
right near the end of this minute, where it seems like she's
Yeah.
finally changing things around. But that's the thing we were discussing earlier, that it seems like it was too compressed. Like this series of events could easily fill an entire movie, and the grand finale is her actually finally succeeding after coming over all these struggles. But this movie just compresses that to the first part
Oh.
because it's like what happens after you get your wish, or it's
Hmm.
kind of subverting that Disney trope, but at the same time, my dad was critical of Disney movies when I was younger because he says it's kind of unrealistic wish fulfillment, and seeing how like she did go through some struggles in this minute, but all of a sudden she was able to turn it around just like that. That does not happen in real life, which was something I was thinking about because I had moments like that where if I was struggling in one area and I had that moment of inspiration, okay, I'm just going to buckle up and do this. It doesn't really happen like that. I had to continue at it, and it just
Hmm.
kind of compressed that all into one scene of her like doing pull-ups
Well, there
on
you
her
go.
bed.
There's the next movie. It's not going to be a sequel. It'll be like an interquel or a prequel of her time at the academy, like how they did Monsters University after
I
Monsters
would
Inc.
rather not see that, to be honest.
No, yeah. It's a good thought experiment, but I'd rather see a straight up sequel if they ever make one.
All right, so you have any thoughts about this as well? Because it's a kids movie, I know it's a Disney movie, but do you think they kind of rushed that scene too much?
I don't think they did because I mean, we just got finished saying that who knows if that would really be all that interesting to watch if it were more drawn out.
Yeah.
Maybe if they did like one scene with more dialogue, maybe between her and some of the other recruits or something like that. But I think, you know, for the length of the movie, it's a decently long movie. It's not absurdly long, but it's a good length, and I feel like they spent enough time on that. It got the point across.
I mean, like, when you brought up the other recruits, that's a good point because, like, thinking about Hell Week for Military Academy, it wasn't just myself motivating myself. I had to have friends who kind of helped me along the way. And thinking to another Disney movie, Cadet Kelly, where Hilary Duff starred as a cadet going to a military school for her first time. It definitely,
I think I remember seeing that.
It was funny because I watched that right before I went off to military academy, and I was like, this is not what military school is like. People don't use colorful flags and do cheerleading during drill team, but like the part of the movie I specifically remember is that she had to ask the other cadets for help, like other new cadets and ones who have been there for a while to help get her on track to train for all this stuff. And I think that's one scene that was missing because it looked like Judy was pushing herself by herself, which I guess shows that she is probably very, very self-driven, but it's hard to believe that could happen. But I guess it just shows that that's her character type.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, did you know that we just had Halloween a few days ago?
Yeah, happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween. Guess what I was doing on Halloween?
What were you doing on Halloween?
I was flying on Southwest back home from Milwaukee. In fact, I just went to 2 conventions back to back.
2 weekends in a row.
I know, one in Dallas, one in Milwaukee, and it's funny, I did 5 panels at the Dallas one, 4 panels at the Milwaukee one, and for some reason, I'm very good at doing the panels. I think people enjoy them, but when I do these podcasts, I'm like, I don't think I sound as good as I do doing the panels.
Your panels that I've seen are very polished, for sure. You do a good job.
Oh, thank you.
You're good at monologuing. And I don't mean that in like a, I enjoy lecture type stuff if it's compelling content anyway.
Okay.
And you have some interesting content.
It's not so dig at me for hogging up all the podcast episode time.
No.
Well, speaking of like Halloween, so did you know this is the second time I've flown from a convention on Southwest on Halloween?
Really? Was it the same convention last year?
Actually, it was. This time I was flying back from Milwaukee to Dallas, though the first time I was flying from a convention in Dallas to Milwaukee, so it's kind of a Milwaukee-Dallas thing. And both times I was on Southwest. The good thing is, if you fly on Southwest during a holiday, you get free alcoholic drinks.
Is that true?
Yes, it is. I had a Coke and Jack my first time I flew on Halloween, and this time I had a lime margarita. And what was surprising was they didn't card me this time.
Have you been carded on planes before? Because
I have
I've
not.
never been carded on planes.
Actually, I did the first Halloween. This time I didn't.
See, and I have friends that fly a lot, and I had asked them about that, whether it's normal to card someone on a plane or not. But, I'm
assuming you have to because, like, what happens if someone underage got a drink?
That's what I mean. Like, do they just somehow know from Southwest? It wouldn't make sense not to card you because it's not assigned seating, so they can't even know that, like, oh, the person in this seat is definitely above 21 or anything. I am 21 right now, so until recently I wouldn't have been able to get drinks on planes, and I did for the first time when I was on the plane ride to and on the way back from BronyCon. I got some beer and I got some orange juice.
Well, that's this thing. I don't think the beer was free. It was only cocktails. So if you got vodka or like Jack Daniel or tequila or rum mixed with a soda or juice, that was free.
That's interesting, huh?
But what was interesting was this flight was completely full. But the first time I flew, I was like basically by myself on the plane. In fact, being that it was Halloween, it was very, very creepy. It was just myself and one older lady in the front who was asleep that was on the plane.
Oh man, do they decorate the inside of the planes?
No, but the flight attendants were dressed. I think one of them was dressed as Pippi Longstockings, and the other one was dressed like a bottle of ketchup or something. But it was surreal and very, very creepy, like a Twilight Zone situation, because I was the only person on the plane, so I basically just moved around, sat in all the other seats. But it was like, okay, what's going to happen? Am I going to go through some Stephen King time warp or something like
Imagine the captain coming on the PA like, "We're going down, folks!" Just kidding, folks. Happy Halloween.
Also, that kind of surprised me too, because it was only myself and that older lady on the plane, so just the cost of us paying for that flight would not be enough to cover the fuel and all that stuff for that flight. So I'm surprised they didn't cancel the flight and put me on another flight. But I'm guessing they must have needed that plane in Milwaukee, or else they wouldn't have flown it.
Well, they probably use surplus from other flights just to cover for when that happens, right?
Yeah. But anyways, you are an awesome cosplayer. If you guys know, he does some awesome Mystery Skulls cosplay, including Lewis from Ghost. And if you look at his blog, he has some awesome hot sexy pictures of himself as Lewis. So what did you cosplay as this Halloween?
This Halloween I just did 10th Doctor because that's kind of my go-to for when I dress up because it's not that hard. Like I already kind of maintain a similar
It's going to be a
hairstyle.
thing where all my podcast co-hosts are 10th Doctor cosplayers. In fact, my old co-host Flavin Bagel kind of has your look. He has the same hair, same glasses. He's been listening to the podcast, and I think he's been getting jelly because he wants to jump back into the podcasting game. So we might have to invite him on eventually.
Yeah, I'd be up for that.
All right, but
every time we have a guest on, you're gonna have to come up with a different animal for them to be.
yeah, that was the thing. I'm thinking because when I did the Doctor Who podcast, my co-host who was helping run that, he was very professional because he's done podcasting for a while. So every time we would invite a guest, he would have this fantastic form. He would have them show out. He's like, this is the outline. Write how you want us to introduce yourself. Write how you want us to pronounce your name. What do you want us to link and all that stuff. And I'm thinking maybe we should create something similar where we also leave a space. What animal do you want to be? If not, I'll just draw them as whatever I think they should be.
Oh boy.
So if you want to be a best guest on the podcast and you work in the comic book industry or the animation industry or television industry, feel free to shoot us an email and I'll be happy to draw you as an animal.
Oh boy.
This is not a freebie to give free fursona. These are not fursona. These are animal selves.
They're Zoosonas.
They're
That's what
Zoosonas,
I hear.
exactly.
That's what I actually hear people. Like, people that are really into Zootopia, but they don't want to call themselves furry, are actually starting to use Zoo-sona. And I'm like, dude, you are in such denial right now.
Well, we are in denial too, I believe. But
Hey, denial's in Egypt, and I have never been to Egypt, okay?
now you're going to get me on Civilization because Civilization 6 also came out. And
I haven't got it yet.
Oh, the music is so good. That's the one thing that moves me because I just love Christopher Tin, who wrote Baba Yetu. For Civ 4 is back. His new theme song is fantastic. And the music for Civ 6 is just beautiful because it starts off as a simple instrument that represents each of the nations of that era. And then it evolves and becomes more complex over time.
Yeah, I do want to get Civ 6. When I was seeing the, development preview images and everything, I wasn't sure if I'd be much of a fan of that cartoony style they went for this time around. But there's other parts of the design I really do like. For instance, the fog of war is like a map.
A map. That's so ingenious now.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. They could have done that from the beginning. Really.
Yeah, well, so Civ 5 was based on an Art Deco theme. They wanted to do like the Atlas Shrugged type, trying to build a new civilization type feel. Civ 6 are based off the Age of Exploration or Age of Discovery, so everything is based around fancy old parchment maps, compasses, astrolabes, and all that stuff. In fact, the new theme song that Christopher Tin wrote is called Dreams of Flight, which basically summarizes how us as humans try to fly. And actually, the lyrics come from a Leonardo da Vinci quote about when man creates his own flying device, anywhere we can fly will be our home. And it's just so beautiful how he puts that together into a song.
Da Vinci had his own flying device, that weird corkscrew helicopter thing.
Which would not work.
Where, I think the entire part where you sat also spun around. You'd get so dizzy if you actually tried that. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
It might not actually work that way. But anyway, Halloween.
So,
Halloween briefly.
Yeah, back to Halloween. So you were dressed as David Tennant, the 10th Doctor. What outfit did you wear?
I have the brown suit that he wore. Brown suit with blue pinstripes. And I have the gigantic coat with the big split down the middle, that big brown coat.
Okay, the giant duster coat.
Yeah, and it's got that giant split down the back because I guess it's designed for horseback riding.
Okay.
So I'm like, man, if I ever go horseback riding again, I know what I'm wearing.
Nice.
It's just perfect. But yeah, so that's like a big go-to for me. I went to a party just with some local Seattle bronies. A lot of the people from Everfree Northwest staff were there. It was so funny because I'm just at this party and then like a bunch of them are like, hey, let's go trick-or-treating. I'm like, okay, we're like adults, but all right. So I'm just out and about chaperoning my adult friends as they go trick-or-treating. No big deal. And that's the thing is I never know if that's socially acceptable. I feel like that's a millennial thing.
I've always wondered, and thinking about it, I kind of think that the modern cosplay at conventions is kind of a carryover from us really wanting to continue to dress up like we did at Halloween, but we can't anymore.
It could be, right? That's the thing. It's like, hey, I'm a cosplayer. I have more than one day a year where I
didn't even think about that because actually, speaking of your Everfree friends, some of your Everfree friends were actually at my panel at Cider Fest in Milwaukee, where I did a history panel on conventions. In fact, if you guys are interested, we might be starting a convention podcast soon, but that's for another topic. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're Halloween, you're David Tennant, and then you went out and started chaperoning your friends. That just sounds...
Yeah, we only went around the block once, and there was
Did anyone give you any weird looks?
No, but this is kind of what I was wondering about, because I was saying, like, guys, this is weird, we're adults, like, I don't think people really appreciate this, because they want to save the candy for the kids, but I don't know, like, I don't know what the common public perception of that is, whether it is socially acceptable for adults to continue to do it, and to be fair, I mean, a lot of us look like could pass as children, probably.
Yeah, you still have that, I guess, baby face look.
That's why I have sideburns. I have to maintain them or else I look like...
But still, you would look like a teenager and...
Yeah, well, I also hadn't shaved, so a little bit scruffy. But I didn't get candy. I just chaperoned. It was a good time, though. And then we just went back and played board games and stuff. It was a good time. Halloween is interesting. And we certainly hope that all of you had a wonderful Halloween as well, that everyone was safe. You got lots of candy, all that good stuff. That just about does it for this minute. If you would like to continue listening, go ahead and give us a subscribe on the YouTubes and a follow on the SoundClouds. By the way, in case you didn't know, we are on both of those platforms. SoundCloud.com/Zootopia Minute. Our YouTube channel doesn't let us have a custom URL yet, but soon we will have one.
And you could also follow us on Tumblr at zootopiaminute.tumblr.com and Twitter at zootopiaminute. And I think that'll be all for tonight. I hope you guys enjoy your All Saints Day, because I believe All Saints Day is the 1st of November up until I think the 5th of November, where we have Guy Fawkes Night. So enjoy your All Saints week, I guess.
Remember. All right, take it easy, guys.
Bye.